Good morning, it's the 5th of June 2016. I've just woken up. I've got a city tour in a couple of hours, but I'm just getting something cold to drink at the City Star convenience store. So I hope you're with me again today.
See that orange building straight ahead of us?
Yep.
Brick building,
Yep.
just like centre. Actually, we'll see it in a minute, get a bit closer to it. That's the ferry building, and behind that you can catch the ferries to many of the surrounding islands in the Hauraki Gulf, and that's where the harbour cruise departs from. I believe it's Pier 2. Anyway, there's only about 2 or 3 or 4 piers there, I think there's 4 of them perhaps. And so it's not too difficult. You just take that voucher I gave you, give it to the Fuller's ticket office, and they'll head you in the right direction. So I'll drop you off there. I think the itinerary says 12:30.
Yeah.
And it departs
So
at
1:30. I think it says 1:30.
Oh, 1:30. The ferry departs at 1:30.
Yeah.
And it returns at 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've changed the whole City Sights tour. It used to depart at 9 and now it departs at 10, and I haven't done it since they've changed it, so it's just, there's nothing changed about the itinerary itself, just the time.
Okay.
It's just moved things out another hour. The population of 1.5 million, so it's currently the largest city in New Zealand and holds a third of New Zealand's population. Our total population of New Zealand is 4.5 million. So a third of the people of New Zealand reside here in Auckland City. And the reason for that is it has the highest employment opportunities here. It has a lovely climate, and we're surrounded by beautiful harbours on both sides. We have the Pacific Ocean on the eastern side here. This on our right hand side shortly you'll see what is part of the Pacific Ocean. That body of water just to our right is referred to as the Waitemata Harbour, the sparkling waters. The Maori refer to it as. So that's the Pacific Ocean side, and then on the western side of Auckland you have the Tasman Sea, the body of water that lies between Australia and New Zealand. So the beaches on the west coast of Auckland are more renowned for their wild, rugged coastlines, black sand and pounding surf. And that's about a 50-minute drive from the CBD to the west coast beaches of Auckland, which are very popular in the summer months. Again, more for the adventurous type surfers. Whereas over here on the eastern side of Auckland, you have the more idyllic, calm, white sand bays that are beautiful for swimming and the likes of paddle boarding and kayaking and so forth. So this is Waitemata Harbour out here on our right hand side. And straight ahead of us on the right hand side there's at about just past 12 o'clock. It's a really good landmark to be aware of while staying in the city. That's the ferry building, that brick coloured, sandstone coloured building there. It's with the clock tower, the time of just coming on 10 o'clock. So that was built in 1912. It's Edwardian Baroque style. And behind that ferry building you can catch a number of the different ferries to the outer islands in the Hauraki Gulf, which makes up the bigger part of Waitemata Harbour. So there's 4 piers over there, and they run between this wharf here on our right hand side, which is Queen's Wharf. Most of the major cruise ship liners will come into here in the summer months between October and end of April. They come in here bringing large numbers of people into Auckland City. So that's one of the main wharfs there that they tie up to. And then on the other side of the ferry building there we have the Princess Wharf, and the Hilton Hotel sits on the Princess Wharf, and it's taken on the architectural shape of a cruise ship. So we'll see that in a minute. So yeah, the ferry building and the piers to any of the outer islands and suburbs is right here, and that's where you'll go this afternoon, Roger.
Yep.
So this is called Quay Street here, and that runs along the waterfront. So you can go either side of the ferry building here, Roger, and where all those people are, pretty much you'll go in there and you'll see the Fuller's ticket office. And there's the Hilton Hotel over there that I was mentioning on Princess Wharf. And the architect that designed that did it with the design in mind to look like a cruise ship, given that that's one of the major cruise ship terminals right there. Straight ahead of us, there's a boat erected on that mount there. That's the KZ1 boat. That was that contentious fight between Dennis Conner and New Zealand over the America's Cup a number of years ago. There's a lot of history on that. That's right outside the Maritime Museum. And just straight through there, that's the Viaduct Harbour Basin, which will take you on down to the Wynyard Quarter. And it's a lovely walk along the waterfront there. There's all revived wharf sheds and that turned into lovely cafes and restaurants. Nice area to stroll in the afternoon, and that was my suggestion to you, Roger, to wander on through there when you're done with the cruise. Straight ahead of us is the Sky Tower, so you can see it's a few short blocks walk from down at the waterfront. And another prominent landmark in the CBD here that rises to a height of 328 metres, which makes it the tallest freestanding structure in the southern hemisphere. And it caters to a number of different sport clubs throughout the year. Evenings you'll see it busy with different sport clubs participating there. Also makes for an easy stroll around the park and commute from some of these inner suburbs to the city. And the large brick building on our left that we just passed, that was originally a lumber mill, and turn of the 20th century it became rubbish collection depot for Auckland City, and that large brick chimney, they used to burn the rubbish in there. So that went out of commission in around the 1950s, and then it became a thriving street market called the Victoria Street Market. And that was a popular place to come visit in Auckland through the 60s, 70s and 80s. It was a thriving street market. So they've tried to revive that here in the last 6 months, and they have a Saturday market there, and they've got a number of different boutique shops and cafes and restaurants in there also. Ponsonby is well known for its nightclubs and bars, very popular gay and lesbian district. And it really comes alive in the evening. It sort of wakes up. By day, it's still nice to stroll through a number of different designer shops, fashion designer shops, and cafes and that to go to. But it's more of a local hangout in the evenings for the younger generation. Property prices here in this area have skyrocketed in the last 20 years, given its close proximity to the CBD. The average 3-bedroom home here in Ponsonby now is around 860,000 on upward. And that's pretty much the median price at this point in time in Auckland City. It's becoming one of the 4th most expensive cities in the world to live in. Not an accolade to be that proud of, but become a very desirable city to live in once they get the traffic problem under control. I hate to think it'll probably just keep expanding, and there's not much room for expansion because geographically Auckland is built on a skinny strip of land. And very multicultural city, religiously and ethnically. Auckland City is sort of the melting pot of New Zealand. Pretty quiet here this weekend. We have a 3-day weekend here, a holiday weekend. Queen's birthday is celebrated on Monday. So a lot of people head out of town on the 3-day weekends, which makes it a lot quieter to get around. So this is called the Three Lamps District here, named after three lamps down there, just obscured by the trees, but they were the first sort of gas-fired lamps around the early 19th century. They'd fire them up every night. The back part here. So if you head down some of these side streets here, you'll see some lovely examples of the early Victorian villas, and they were made out of the beautiful native kauri timber, which was felled in the northern part of New Zealand. Gosh, my mind's going, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can see the light dancing on the water, and it really lives up to its name. That's sort of heading into the northwestern reaches of the harbour there, and that meanders about another 20 kilometres up to the northwest, terminating a suburb, or a little area called Riverhead. And there's one of New Zealand's oldest taverns right there, and actually on Sundays they have a blues concert series throughout. At about 10 o'clock, the salmon coloured building is the Chelsea Sugar Factory. It's a sugar refinery. All the sugar cane it's not grown in New Zealand, it's not hot enough climate for it here. It's mainly imported from Fiji and Queensland, Australia. They bring it in here on large ships and unload it there. The deep-water freshwater creek that they use, the freshwater is part of the process to refine the sugar. And that was named after a man that came from Chelsea, England. So now on the Auckland Harbour Bridge. Designer of the Harbour Bridge was also partly responsible for designing the Sydney Harbour Bridge, so similar in design, not quite as grand as the Sydney Harbour Bridge, but similar sort of symmetrical shape, I guess. It originally just consisted of the two northern and two southbound lanes here in the middle section of the bridge. And they started construction on this back in 1955. It was completed in 1959. After a few years it was running at full capacity, so they decided they needed to expand the bridge. So right now we're just driving on part of that expansion, the western expansion of the bridge. It was a Japanese company that won the tender to build the add-on parts of the bridge, and they were designed and made in Japan and shipped out here with a large crane that hoisted them on the eastern and western side of the span. They literally hoisted up and clipped on, and they were aptly named the Nippon clip-ons. So they've been clipped on to the western and eastern side of the span there since 1966, and they haven't budged yet, so that's good news. Out here on our right hand side, this area is known as Cork Bay. I guess it was perhaps reminiscent of someone that lived in Cork Bay when it was named that. That's a popular kite surfing spot in the summer months. Probably get a few hardy kite surfers out there in the winter too, I imagine, but it's not too much wind out there today for kite surfing conditions. So we're on the southern side of the North Shore. Is a very popular suburban area that grew literally overnight, and it's popular for its lovely idyllic bays, white sand beaches that I spoke of earlier. Around here, swinging back around, you'll see a prominent landmark out there. That's actually an island, that's Rangiatoto Island, and that is the youngest of our volcanoes here in Auckland City. Auckland City is made up of about 50 volcanic cones, of which you'll see as we drive around. You can see one just to the right of the Sky Tower there. That's one of the oldest volcanic cones, referred to as Mount Eden, or Mangafo, as the Māori would call it. Manga in Māori means mountain. So it's a beautiful opportunity here, if you have your cameras, to take a photo of Auckland cityscape. I think this is one of the most splendid views coming into Auckland City, and it's kind of a shame that for first-time visitors they're not driving in from the north and viewing Auckland City from this perspective, because it's really a lovely view of Auckland City and what Auckland's about. So there again we've got a beautiful view of the Waitemata Harbour, and we'll see a number of many marinas as we drive around the city today. Even though we're on a volcanic field and plate, there doesn't seem to have been any murmurs here in the last 600 years, so I think we'll be safe to get across it. If everyone wants to take a deep breath, hopefully we'll make it safely to the other side. Straight ahead of us down there at about 1 o'clock is the West Haven Marina. That's one of the largest and most expensive marinas to berth your sailing boat at. They can even take them down to the marina and have it ready to go. How nice is that? So I'd say that will cost a fair few pennies to keep one parked there. So this whole area along here is all under construction right now. There's going to be apartment blocks that are only going to be 2-story high, and a number of other different stores and restaurants and so forth. It's going to be taking up most of the empty space you can see here. This area is known as the Wynyard Quarter, and you can walk all the way along the wharf, the waterfront there, from where I pointed out earlier where the KZ1 boat is erected by the Maritime Museum. You can walk all the way along to these concrete silos here on our left hand side. This is referred to as Silo Park and Silo Marina on the left hand side, and many of the super yachts will come and berth in there. You can see one there right now. And if you look down here to our right where those people are coming from, that's the Wynyard Quarter, which will take you back down to the Viaduct Harbour Basin. It's a lovely area to walk along there, and that would be my pick on a lovely afternoon like this.
Too.
Called the ferry, that was decommissioned back around the 1950s. That's what's left of it, and the rest of the vessel got holes drilled in it. It was sunk about 10 kilometres to the east here, and it's a artificial recreational dive site. The city centre there being the Sky Tower. All these pipes here on our left hand side on this wharf obviously deliver a lot of the chemicals into these tanks here when the ships come in with their various products. So that building straight ahead of us at about 11 o'clock, that's one of the most sustainable buildings, modern structures are built in New Zealand. There you can read up on that. The architect that built it and designed it built it with the sustainability in mind, and it's utilising a lot of the wind, sunlight and so forth. Those little fans you see on the left side of it direct the light in and out of the building. People that work in that office, they don't have designated desks, it's just first come first serve. But yeah, it's quite interesting. I think there's some information on it in the foyer. So here we have the old North Wharf, which used to be mainly fishing and storage sheds here. It's been revitalised. gentrified, whatever you'd like to call it, and now they're bustling restaurants and cafes, and you can see on a day like this how lovely it is to come along here and just sit out on the waterfront. And that's accessible from the ferry building there, as I was pointing out to you. You can just walk all the way along here. Lovely stroll on a day like this. During the summer months, that silo park here that I was referring to on our right hand side, where those concrete silos are, that has a number of different summer series concerts and evening markets there. It'll be quite a fun area to go in during the summer months. And we'll come around the back side of... Fish comes in here each day, caught out in the Hauraki Gulf and brought in here so you can get your fresh catch for the day in there and have them cook it up for you. Get a nice feed of fish and chips. Did I say that right, Roger?
Yeah.
Did I say fish and chips, or did I say fish and chips?
You said, I can't remember.
There's a sustainable building here on the right hand side. And the restaurants and cafes here on the left of the wharf sheds. And straight ahead of us is the Viaduct Harbour Basin.
And we can't get out.
Had anything back there, am I? On the left hand side of the car?
No, left hand side's fine.
At the old Guardian building here on the right hand side. And that's made out of a beautiful marble stone quarried out of the Golden Bay area, the top of the South Island, and bronze also wrapped around those pillars. And that was our earliest newspaper in New Zealand, the Guardian. The Blackett's building there on the corner to our left. These are all older historic buildings that I'm pointing out, many of which have been retrofitted to withstand earthquakes. I'll make a left up here onto Princess Street and work our way around the perimeter of the University of Auckland. So currently the largest university in New Zealand, houses about 54 faculties. It's a student enrolment of 28,000 just on the central campus here itself, about another 14,000 campuses dotted throughout Auckland City. With the Maidment Theatre here for performing arts students on our right hand side. And we'll catch a lovely glimpse here on the left hand side of beautiful Albert Park. What a great place to go take your book and study on a sunny afternoon. That's where I'd be heading. And you'll see the beautiful clock tower here if you crank your head up, the University Clock Tower. And the lovely university grounds here, which used to formerly be the resident building of Governor William Hobson of Auckland, built in the style of a Scottish castle. And across the road you have the St Andrew's Presbyterian Church, an early 20th century Gothic cathedral. It's one of the main entrances here in the corner to the University of Auckland campus. So William Hobson's grave site's there on the right hand side, skirted by this bus. We have the Grafton Bridge here, which was once the highest viaduct in New Zealand. Moreton Bay, the bay around Brisbane there. And the beautiful landmark up on the hilltop there of the War Memorial Museum, built to commemorate the many soldiers that left New Zealand to fight various battles in other lands. And there's a whole floor dedicated to the many histories of the war, soldiers that fell on the second level and devoted to that. Other than that, there's a number of other different exhibits in that museum. They have a beautiful Polynesian section on the lower level, and it also houses a little cafe at the southern end of it, and souvenir and bookshop. This is the northern end down here where these big columns are, and there are some toilets inside there. I'll pull over here and you can get out and stretch your legs and walk around for 20 minutes. Consecrated grounds there where the cenotaph is.
The message is basically, this is holy ground. Tread not upon it except in reverence. So you should only step inside the square if you're going to spend a minute silence remembering those who lost their lives so we could be free.
And of course this was what originally made Auckland City a desirable place of commerce when it was first settled, this large port. Of course now developers look at it with different eyes, but given that's a large part of the infrastructure here that keeps the country running, I don't think they'll do away with that. So 80% of containerised freight comes into Auckland here. So we just made a right-hand turn onto Tamaki Drive. This takes us out to the eastern bays and suburbs, dotted along the waterfront here. Coming up here on our right-hand side is Judges Bay, named after the first Chief Justice of New Zealand. And his house used to be up there on the top of the hill, and I think that's where John Key resides, somewhere up there. And that's actually a lovely little swimming bay in the summertime when it's a high tide. Typically a beautiful bay when high tide. It's low tide right now, so it doesn't look that desirable at the moment. It's kind of my choice to the Parnell swimming bars tucked in under the hill there on our right hand side. Go in the natural salt water that flows in and out of that bay. Getting a paint job. Sunny yellow colour, it used to be a cream colour. Coming around the point here of Kahu Bay. So you can just imagine all these pahutakawa trees here on our right hand side with their lovely crimson coloured blooms. Around Christmas time, how pretty it looks. So Kahu Bay Marina here. You can also rent out paddle boards here and kayaks, bikes. Got a great shared pedestrian and cycleway along here that runs from the city centre.
7 days and finally ended. It's well read social reforms and that police and personnel of the New Zealand Army forcibly removed the Prime Minister and destroyed the temporary buildings.
I have to pick up my ticket to go on a ferry ride, and then later on tonight I'm going up to Sky Tower. Been recommended to go up there at sunset to get a really good view. I'd love to do that. Wonder how much it'll cost me. I've got an hour before the ferry ride, so I'm just going to have a look around here for a bit.
When you got there,
Remember that game? Rigged. Nobody ever wins a big prize. just a little snack before I get on the boat. We're late. Should have left 5 minutes ago.
Holding on as you move around. In the outdoor area, the entrance where you are either holding on or sitting down. So first of all, passing towards Auckland, the port of Auckland breaks down into three main categories. Central is port craft, container yards, and bulk freight cargo. The ports of Auckland are the busiest ports in New Zealand, handling roughly 1 million containers every year. Another part of water terminal is part of this Williamsburg container terminal at the water and hub here in Auckland City. It houses all our large concerts. It's an indoor arena with a capacity of 12,500. Ferry can hold up to 2 large container ships at any one time, and there are 5 dockside trains. 3 expensive machinery these dockside trains, and great and slow trains, were brought over from Shanghai and China, 2000-2001. That's the coastline is back on Water Beach, 2002. They're still reclaiming the land here in the port of Auckland. The process, what they do is they dig up the ocean floor.
just got a complimentary tea and brownie, and we've pulled in somewhere for a minute. I've got 5 minutes and I have to get back on the boat, otherwise they leave without me. And I don't want to be out here all night. I'm sure the sunset would be spectacular, but it'll probably get very cold. Everyone has to get back on the boat now, or they won't get back to the mainland until tomorrow.
I was thought in the late 1880s that Russia was going to come and take this part of our country, so they heavily fortified to set up to defend this part. Get a flashlight or a torch of some sort to go exploring in there. And also just opening up on the beach we have Mount Victoria. Now both Mount Victoria and North East. It's a bit more extinct volcanoes. The Auckland Harbour Bridge, which brings us into the upper harbour area. Now this bridge was built and constructed between 1954 to 1958, opened in 59. Originally 4 lanes, 2 lanes either side. Today it's 8 lanes, 4 either side, it has been extended. Easy access to and from the North Shore area with the bridge opening at reach capacity, so it has to be further extended.
Alright, we're going back under the bridge again. We've just done a 180. I think we'll be back on land in about 10 or 20 minutes. And I've got the sun right in my eye, so it's really hard to see the camera.
Now we're just going to slowly stop.
Okay, we're stopping under the bridge. We've got a bungee jumper. Alright, come on.
So there you go guys, get your cameras ready, somebody is hopefully about to jump off. There you go guys, you can see the lower tab right there up on the slipway, you can see the propulsion. Underneath it, this is how they push around these large cruise liners, car carriers, cruise ships. Nothing like going to put on board with us.
I thought about staying here, but the price is just like too much for me, you know? And we're back. Nearly. Can't jump that far. hotel for a little bit. Alright, I'm on the other side of the camera now, so what's your name, sir?
Joseph.
Joseph, there's recording me. Thank you, Joseph, just so you can see me with this wonderful backdrop of Auckland. Time for dinner. They've already brought my Coke out. I'm just waiting for my garlic bread, then my Moroccan lamb with French fries. And here's my garlic bread. And here's my lamb, French fries, and carrot and broccoli. Alright, that time again, I'm afraid. So, from Auckland, New Zealand, Buona Sera, and God bless.